Hello! As a little bit of a brain teaser, what if there was another class added to How to Train Your Dragon? What would the class be and what dragons would be in it? Personally, I think the class system is a little unbalanced, especially with the mystery class having so many and not having too much of a link between them other than they're kinda weird and don't fit in any other classes. So the aim of this video is giving 3 hypotheses for an additional class, with some honourable mentions sprinkled in. Oh, and ignore the bad artwork. This is just proof of concept, not actual final designs. I hope you enjoy. First off, a potential idea could be a Burrowing class. Burrowing. I can't say that word. You may be thinking, hang on, that sounds eerily close to Boulder. But I think you'll be surprised, considering these dragons will be more characterised as hiding away or sneaking up on their prey, rather than being rounded, tough, and eating lots of rock. The dragons under the Burrowing class wouldn't be ingesting the rocks, but they'll dig to hide away to either ambush their prey or escape a predator. And we've seen this a couple of times throughout the different classes. And the dragons that would make the class could be Whispering/Screaming Death. They don't overly eat rocks, but still have the burrowing abilities, and in general they don't overly suit the Boulder aesthetic. The Cavern Crusher is a good example, a dragon known to dig and maneuver easily through caves to find dragon eggs. The Sandbuster, another one that burrows and spends all of its time underground to the point it will get burnt by sunlight. Its firepower too is relatively interesting, and it's debatable whether or not it's kind of boulderish. I guess it ingests the sand to produce that, but it's not officially stated. The Sweet Death as well, known for hiding underground and ambushing their prey with their sweet scent. Lastly, I believe the Sand Wraith would fit best. Another one that's characterised to dig underground, and although it's a tidal glass and its regular species dig underground underwater, other known subspecies just dig underground in deserts and other places. Before we move on to the next one, let's suggest some honourable mentions, like bringing back the Fear class. Logistically, this could work quite well, as there are quite a few dragons in the mystery class that could fit into this category and are not that mysterious, like the Snaptrapper, or perhaps the Hobgobbler, especially of the rumour of its bad omened. But I don't like it for lore and thematic reasons. Hiccup notably changed it as they learned more about dragons, and reclassifying their creatures that would suit their respective classes, rather than what's most scary to Vikings. It reflects the attitude change with the dragons, and I don't think we should reintroduce that for the sake of consistency. Remember, dragons are friends, not food. Another one that's highly popular is an alpha class all on its own, characterised by dragons who are extremely big and / or command a set of dragons. But having an individual class? No. I really like the idea that there's a big boss dragon for each individual class, like the Screaming Death for the Boulder, Forever Wing for the Mystery, Red Death for the Stoker, Bewilderbeast for the Tidal. We are missing a few like a Sharp, Strike and Tracker, but I don't know, perhaps you could watch a video where someone makes new alphas for those classes. Hint, 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 hint. But setting a class based around the natural order of where these dragons stand, over some linked abilities / similarities that they may have, isn't very consistent with the other classes. And plus, it doesn't solve the everything's in mystery issue. This idea is quite an interesting one, and it's the Toxic class. There are very many dragons with a variety of toxicity, ranging from irritative poison to devastating venom. And I don't believe it would be realistic to put every single dragon that has a hint of venom into this class, but dragons whom their whole thing is based around that, or haven't got a significant feature that warrants them staying within their original classes, I believe making a separate class for these dragons could work quite well. These dragons could be seen as some of the most feared within the dragon world, as not only do you have their natural teeth, claws and firepower to worry about, but the potential lethality of their toxins. These dragons could be characterised as relatively aggressive, or the hardest ones to train in the dragon world. But perhaps if you are successful, you're rewarded with a very powerful dragon ally. Dragons in this class could include the Slitherwing. Literally all they have is copious amounts of poison, both venom and the substance they secrete throughout their skin, noted for how deadly it is. The Speed Stinger, the Triple Strike and the Death Gripper. All 3 of these dragons are known for their prominent stingers, and their various powerful venoms, which I believe is quite a unifying ability that doesn't really fit within their respective classes. The one who gets away with it the most is the Speed Stinger. Jabbing a sharp object into someone is quite a sharp thing to do, ? Smiley face. But perhaps focusing that class on more teeth or claw orientated dragons, focusing on the action of actual hacking and slashing. And the Death Gripper and the Triple Strike, I think they're kind of fast and maneuverable, and I think that's the only reason why they're in Strike class. A Flame Whip is an interesting dragon. It has one of those with a little bit of everything, but not enough solidarity to really fit within a class. But currently it's in the Stoker class, but perhaps leaning into its more toxic side can make it stand out a little bit, as it could detach its tail that lures in enemies and then paralyzes them because it's poisonous. It would have been cool if it had like a poisonous tongue as well that it stretches out, but that's just not true. As well as the Threadtail, another Stoker class dragon that isn't really Stokerish, but it's known for its poison. Although the poison isn't that strong, it's just quite irritative. It states that it has to constantly scratch its body because it's just that annoying. But once again, it hasn't got anything really significant in any other features that I think it could fit into a class like this one if it existed. Now, there are some dragons like the Scoldron, the Sligwither, and even the Tideglider who have hints of venom, but they're so ocean-based that they're still definitely tidal dragons. So, some more honourable mentions. Before we go on to the last, more detailed idea. There could potentially be a Ice or Tundra class. There are quite a few dragons who have ice abilities or well adapted to the cold, like the Snow Wraith, the Shivertooth and the Grunsicle. There's the Bewilderbeast and like a couple of Wing Gnashes that can breathe ice, but I don't think there's enough dragons to warrant this classification, and the ones that we do have very much suit their respective classes. There's an idea of like a luring category, kind of the opposite of tracker class. Dragons who could lure in their prey using smell or other methods. Once again, there's a situation of there's not that many, and the ones that we do have, most of them still fit where they are. Like the Death Song and the Slither Song. Fantastic luring abilities, but also fantastic mystery class dragons. The only ones I can potentially see are the Snap Trapper or the Sweet Death, but once again, it's just them. Another one could be an electric class. Dragons who have electrical abilities would obviously go in here, like the Skrill, Night Fury, Shockjaw, and Sea Shocker. But this is another one of those examples where this isn't necessary, as the dragons who have these abilities very much suit the classes that they are originally from. And last honourable mention is the Armour class, or a very defensive class. These dragons are very known for their tough exteriors. It does kind of lean a bit too much into Boulder, but perhaps it could highlight dragons who have defensive capabilities that are outside the norm. For example, the Sword Stealer and the Armor Wing. Dragons who purposely collect metal to add to their scales or add to their body. Perhaps the Bownapper as well. Perhaps the Rumblehorn, but it's still very tracker. And arguably that's kind of it. Maybe the Sentinels, as they do have stone-like scales and are very tough, and outside of looking like rocks, they are not very similar to other Boulder classes, but I think is a bit too weak in my opinion. So, the last one for this video, the Shadow class. Although there's quite a few dragons that I believe could fit within this, it's one of those where it's highly debatable whether or not you could classify a bunch of dragons in this. A lot of these dragons still do suit their respective classes. These dragons will be characterized through heightened stealth, prefer hiding and sneaking, and ambushing their prey from the shadows, using a variety of camouflaging methods. Dragons in this could include, I'm gonna say Night Fury, but it feels so wrong. There's something in my gut that's just like, no, Night Fury needs to be Strike. Mainly because it's a class literally based on it. I do have to admit it is kind of similar to Strike. Whereas they're more characterized with speed and agility, this is purely stealth, which the Night Fury has in quite an abundance. Being jet black, it blends right in with the night sky, and being fast and highly predatory, I imagine it can pounce on its prey with ease. But let's move on from that suggestion. Some other dragons that could be included is the Grapple Grounder, camouflaging within the rocks, and being so snake-like they can weave quite close to their victims and coil and squeeze them to death. The Changewing, having the ability to blend in with anything in their environment. The Silk Spanner, so creepy and cruelly, they literally come out the shadows in the comics. Maybe the Tormentipede is another one of those with their very creepy vibes going on. The Night Terror, blending in with the night sky and using their horn to make pictures of other dragons to scare away evil. Smothering Smoke Breath, hiding within their fogs to catch all the steel, ha ha ha. The Silver Phantom, flying high above the sky, camouflaging amongst the clouds. Debatably the Windwalker. I really love the idea of its phosphorescent wing patches that blend its wings within the night sky. Did I say that correctly first time? I don't know, but I'm going to leave it at that. And that's a very unique feature for a dragon. And that's it. I feel like I've essentially just made Fear Class version 2 Electric Boogaloo. I do understand that a lot of these classes do have a lot of overlap and similarities, but to be honest, you could say that for a lot of the main set of classes, or some of the dragons that are classified within them that either very loosely fit within that, or have many key features of many other classes. The whole system's a bit of a mess. This isn't me complaining at all, as it kind of suits the Vikings not fully understanding how dragons or species or categories work, and are just basing it off of just their own subjective opinions rather than through evidence researched. But yeah, pick one of these. If you like it, cool. But seriously, let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have cool ideas for classes. I'd love to hear them. Perhaps you can fix some of my mistakes, or find a better link between some of the odd choices of dragons. I haven't even mentioned the Buffalord at all in this video. I'm still very stumped by that dragon. Can we just have a cow class? And just stick the Buffalord in that?